what's one piece of advice you would give yourself at the start of your career?
That everything will be all right. You're like in your early 20s, don't know nothing about professional life, but look, take opportunities when you get them, because I was lucky quite a few times that I got the opportunity to jump on a project to learn things, and I took those chances, and that's made me where I am now.
Michael, welcome to the Making It in Manufacturing podcast.
Thank you very much.
Today. How was the first day of the ISPE conference in London going?
It's very interesting. I'm surprised to see how big it is. It's over 1,000 people. So
which is
there's been a couple of nice keynote speeches today, and tomorrow there's more topic-specific sessions.
Which is good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going there tomorrow and getting some useful information, networking, and seeing some old managers and things that I've used to speak to. I think to begin with, it'd be good if you give a bit of an introduction just to who you are, your specific role at the moment, before we dive into your background and some specific topics.
Yeah, so I'm Michael Vrijs. I am from Belgium originally. I'm currently living and working in Switzerland. I'm working for Incyte Biosciences, which is an American company. And in Switzerland, we have the only manufacturing site of Incyte. I am manager manufacturing technology, and in that, I'm responsible for everything cleaning and cleaning validation for our site.
Nice. Belgium to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Beers to chocolate. I suppose chocolate and both.
Chocolate to chocolate, really.
Yeah, it's a good transition. How long have you lived in Switzerland for?
A little over 5 years now.
5 years. Yeah, I lived in Zurich for 6 years, as you know from my times. Yeah, it's a brilliant country to work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So traditionally on the podcast, we start with 3 fun facts about yourself to sort of kick us off. So I don't know if you've prepared any either funny or
fun facts. I'm not sure.
If there's, it doesn't even have to be 3, but anything.
I've seen quite a bit of Europe. I've worked, when I was doing consulting, I've worked a little bit all over Europe for 10 years before I ended up in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And if I'm not working, I'm mostly spending my time cycling and dancing.
Okay. Dancing? What type of?
Salsa. Mostly salsa.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a keen tango salsa, but I must say I went to Cuba with my wife when we had lessons when we were out there, which was good fun. Is Cuba?
I've been to Cuba as well.
Is Cuba salsa?
Yeah, it is, very much. Yeah,
all in the hips. As I was told. So I think to kick us off with your sort of career and your journey, you've obviously highlighted where you've come from and consulting and things, but how did you get into the industry, I suppose, and sort of from an educational standpoint, and why did you pick it? Honestly,
it's not that inspirational of a story. It's more of an accident. Because when I was younger, let's say, I was in high school I studied technical sciences with a focus on chemistry, so I do have a bit of a chemistry background. But then I was dreaming of becoming an artist and a photographer, so I actually have a bachelor's degree in photography, and I've also done part-time art education, Academy for Fine Arts, because I wanted to be a painter. But of course I never really sold much paintings or photos, so I had to find a real job. And then, considering I studied chemistry before, I ended up at a biopharmaceutical company in Belgium, in Brussels. And that's sort of how it went from there. So it wasn't really a choice when I was 18 to say I want to do this. I just rolled into it, and then from there I learned a lot on the job, and I evolved over time, and I got opportunities. I was lucky enough to have opportunities to grow and to learn, and I took those, and a lot at my first company in Belgium where I worked. And then after a while I decided to leave there, and I felt like traveling, seeing other countries, became a consultant, and that's when I did 10 years of consulting in total, did a little bit everywhere in Europe.
Yeah. What did you like about the consulting? Such a long time.
For your personal life, the travel, the getting into other countries, other cultures. Professionally, seeing other companies, and you learn a lot. I mean, not that there's anything wrong staying with one company for a long time, because you can also, it depends on the company and so on, but you can also learn and evolve, of course. But I do notice that now all of my knowledge, you take it from every project you've ever done, and you do, some companies, we all do the same thing, but some do it very differently. So
I think it's I think that is one of the major perks of consulting, is you get the best, I would say, from each project and company.
And the worst, you also see, you learn from, sometimes you learn more from the wrong things than from the right things. Yeah. So I think it's really enriching as an experience. Yeah.
No, definitely. So definitely on the creative side of things from when you were younger, and moving through with everything. You obviously mentioned at the beginning, very specific at the moment with cleaning validation, SME in them topics. So how did you, from not having that original plan to go into the life science industry, what drew you to that specific topic, and how did you end up falling into that area?
Yeah, also there, it was in my first job back in Belgium that I was working manufacturing, and I got a chance to do some more engineering type work, qualification validation. And we happened to have a lot of cleaning validation work at the time. It was a small company that also, during my time, I was there for maybe 7 years. And during that time, we went from a company that was only supplying the Belgian market to an FDA approved. So it really, I lived through that
whole journey of seeing it.
That change, and that taught me a lot as well. I learned a lot, and I happened to fall into cleaning validation. Did a lot of work there, and I really liked that. It's I don't know why, it's a niche thing. Many people don't like it. I do. So there I built up a lot of knowledge, and I continued through my consulting career, working on a lot of cleaning validation projects.
And in terms of, so a lot of our listeners could be fellow people working in recruitment, can be junior engineers looking to expand their knowledge, or senior people, to sort of strip it back in terms of what is cleaning validation at a high level. And I suppose the most important thing is the importance of it, which I think's key.
Well, cleaning validation. Well, you have to know what validation is in the first place, because there's not only cleaning validation, there's process validation and so on. It's basically to demonstrate that you have a process which provides a result which is every time the same, and you have to challenge your worst case conditions and so on. And for cleaning, it's your cleaning processes. So any manufacturing site which uses reusable equipment, typically stainless steel, tanks, skids, transfer lines, whatever. After you're done producing, you need to clean them to prepare them for a next batch, possibly another product. And you need to demonstrate that it's clean each time, again and again, in the same way, and that there's no risk of cross-contamination or any contamination.
I think from my side, I see a lot of businesses that tend to struggle in the cleaning validation, and I think a lot of from speaking with consultants and things, as you mentioned, that there's not a ton of people that have a lot of experience in an SMA field from that. So we will dive into maybe some do's, don'ts, and some key pointers for businesses, I think. But from your side of things at the moment, specifically with cleaning validation, what are the major changes at the moment, from either from a regulation standpoint or changes in ways of practice that are currently that you're working on, or that I guess probably we're speaking about this week at ISPE?
Our industry is typically still quite conservative in general. Also, legislation authorities are moving very slow. Typically, technological advance is much faster than authorities follow, which is why we're still being conservative. What I think is the beauty, and probably also at the same time the difficulty of cleaning validation, is that there's not really a strict set of rules. you can sort of do whatever you like as long as you have a good rationale for it and you can explain it, you can defend it. But it's not like, for example, if you qualify a clean room, you have your ISO standards you have to follow. It's all strict. Cleaning, yes, there's a lot of great guidelines, documents, but there's no rule book that says you need to do this and this and that. Mm-hmm. So you're quite free to design your strategy, your cleaning cycles, your validation strategies.
And do you think that's a positive thing, or do you think it could be something maybe that is improved to help maintain standards?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. Yeah. But even though you have that, you still see many companies doing roughly the same thing. Yeah. But I do think it's good that you can be flexible, and with a risk-based approach, you can deviate from the typical things you do, which is good. In terms of changes, I mean, nowadays when we speak of changes or evolution, it's all about AI. Yeah. I haven't used it a whole lot. We do. I mean, even in my company now, I see it's the buzzword, and we use it all the time, and we do use it for in cleaning, not specifically, but in general, you can use it now to write reports, to write a lot, help writing reports, protocols, all that. And then the other big thing would be data analysis. If you have a lot of data to analyze, doing automated statistics and stuff like that, the process, AI can help.
So obviously, you've already mentioned that companies are moving too quick for regulations in terms of keeping up with the pace of improvements and how things are happening. Obviously, AI is taking the world by storm. Mm-hmm. So adding in that component as well to it, could there be a risk of businesses going too far and it not being manageable?
I mean, I think AI is more sort of going to help accelerate certain phases. Yeah. But you still need to do the work behind it, like. For example, you can do a lot of simulations, but in the end, you're going to have to do some real-life experiments to show data, because inspections is usually about showing the data, and a simulation doesn't always cut it. So, but that simulation can help you accelerate your development or testing phase. So that could really help.
Is there any, new technologies or new things that are changing the way that you can do cleaning validation?
I think probably a big thing is inline testing for your critical quality attributes. Like, instead of taking a sample of a water, you put an inline measurement. So you don't need to grab a sample, send it to the lab, have it analyzed. Typically for things like bioburden, that takes up to a week to have a result. If you can put an inline analyzer with an instant result, that you can win a lot. And those technologies are being implemented, but that, for example, is something that is still tricky to defend to inspectors. But it's moving forward. We've seen it in water systems, for example, where inline is now.
And what are the major benefits do you see with that new technology?
Time gain. If you have an instant result, or you need to wait for a week. Yeah, that's which a lot. I
think the quicker you can get a drug through the production and out the door is a benefit for everybody.
And also just work resources, less lab work.
Yeah. Human error. There's less
also
things that
anything
can go
you
wrong
can automate is gonna
help. Yeah. No, very interesting. I never didn't know that was a thing. In terms of in general, I know you've worked in a number of different businesses now as a consultant. What are some of the most common, biggest mistakes you see that the businesses get wrong within cleaning validation specifically?
I think within cleaning itself, I would say not, and this is what I will also speak a little about tomorrow in the presentation, is using just generic cleaning cycles, not really looking into how can I get the optimal cleaning for this equipment with this soil. And that's something I saw when I was a consultant. You come somewhere, people have a cleaning cycle, you ask, why do you do this and this, and why don't you optimize that? And then they say, we've been doing this for 20 years, and we don't really want to revalidate. We don't really, it's not worth it. Or they think it's not worth it, while probably it is worth it, because optimizing will gain you time and money probably. So it's always worth it. In terms of validation, and this is, I mean, it's not a mistake, but it's something we're all dealing with, is, you always try to be on the limit of what you should do to pass your inspections. Sometimes you're just below, but the only companies that are 100% correct are typically CMOs, because they validate everything, but they do it because the client is paying for everything, and they don't run any risk that way. So it's a safe strategy, and they don't have to pay for it. But any company working for themselves is not going to do that. They're going to find a strategy to validate, to be compliant without doing way too much. But sometimes you're on the limit, and sometimes you have an inspection and you get observations. You need to fix them. But I think that's a typical challenge for every company, and not just for cleaning validation, but for pretty much any compliance topic.
And if you were, I suppose, if you were going back to your consulting days and you were going in to improve a cleaning validation strategy, is there a typical steps that you would follow to assess, or things that you would typically do to help improve that cleaning? I guess it's very open because it depends on the issue.
Yeah, it really depends on the issue. Typically, you go on what the inspection reports say. But if you ask me to assess an entire cleaning and cleaning validation program, I'd say start from the beginning and look at your cleaning cycle, look at your product soil. What does it require? How does it require to be cleaned? Do that in the best possible way. And then cleaning validation, just making a good strategy in terms of family approach. You can do a family approach on soils, you can do a family approach on equipment, and get the best possible outcome with the least amount of work, while still being compliant.
And you've already mentioned inspections and auditing things around that topic in general. It's something I wanted to speak around as well. From your experience, what do they typically look for when it comes to cleaning validation, in terms of what are they assessing? We've touched on maybe already a little bit, but from what you've seen and had to probably defend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's just like any topic during inspections. They check whether you're in control, and I think that's the main thing. Everything behind it comes down to that: are you in control of your process? And of course, you need to have your strategies right. Like I said, you can do bracketing approaches. You can get out of doing everything and just doing enough, but you need to be able to defend it. And as soon as they find that you've missed things, or if you're not in control, if you struggle with contaminations and you didn't fix it, you don't find the root cause, you don't find a solution to fix it, that's usually problematic. Strategy approaches can always be discussed and challenged, and that's
by an inspector. They could, so you still have to, you could be squeaky clean in terms of your prep documentation, but they still could come in and say, okay, well, why have you done it this way? What's
absolutely
logical? So you still
that happens. That happened to me recently as well. It's just you do a strategy, you defend it, but it's also inspector dependent. Sometimes
it's different.
They're also people with opinions. They're not 100% objective. And like we said in the beginning, for cleaning there is no strict rule book. So sometimes it happens that you get an observation from an inspector and you fix it. Next year you get the same authority but a different inspector, and he reads the report from last year and he's like, I don't know why that was an observation. So that can be frustrating. But that's the game, Inspectors, they also have their personal opinions, and you don't always agree with them, and they don't always agree with each other. But
it's hard to think from. Obviously, I've never been in front of an auditor or anything like that, but to think that there can be something so opinionated that potentially, if you've had a bad audit and that's maybe the final thing that can tip something over the edge, that is a bit.
It won't be major observations. It's typically the smaller things. If it's a major one, then it's clearly you've done something wrong. But the minor ones, that definitely happens.
So what did you have to do when they sort of flagged something? Was it?
I was doing a bracketing approach Oh no, I was doing a bracketing approach, and I didn't do the actual testing. So it was one of those examples where you make a claim, but you don't support it with lab studies. Mm-hmm. So they said, your approach is fine, but just do the lab studies, and then you have data to support it, which is what I did. So,
so you managed to... There was no...
we got out of that.
Yeah, there was no red flags or any problems. Is there a way that you handle inspectors and things in terms of how you communicate, or not over communicating or under, in terms of giving certain bits of information around? Because they're coming in ears and eyes looking for anything they can sort of find at fault. And I know there's a lot of businesses train their employees on how to communicate and
very
what
much.
to say. So it's a huge topic in terms of that audit readiness. What's your approach of dealing with them if someone finds themselves in your shoes?
Yeah, it's a big topic, and it's very important, and I struggle with it sometimes because I like to argue with the inspector, which is something my bosses tell me don't ever do, but it's difficult sometimes. But in general, an inspector, you ask a question and you just answer to the question, only to the question. Don't give additional information. Don't start saying, but we did this and that. Just answer. If it's a yes or no question, you just answer yes or no. Yeah. If he doesn't speak for a minute, you don't start talking, because they use all kinds of tricks to get you to talk.
Yeah, it's there.
But yeah, just calmly respond to what they ask, and that's it. And if you don't agree,
don't
shut
say
up.
Don't say anything back.
Which is hard sometimes, because you want to defend your points, but
it's super interesting, because I know there's a number of people, even consultants, have spoken with, and they've said, I don't even know how the interaction is, what you have to do, what you have to say. So you've got to remember, there's a lot of people that are working on the whole lead up, and maybe you might have a team of people supporting the cleaning, validation, etc. But you're the face of actually what it's like in that room when you've got to defend strategies and certain things. So it's really good insights. If we're looking now in terms of young engineers looking to progress their careers and things, what type of advice would you give a young engineer looking to progress their career in terms of skill sets, behaviours, and things?
Get experience, and honestly, I don't even know if cleaning validation or cleaning topics can be, if you go study biotech, if they touch upon cleaning. I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe as a biotechnologist you'd come in, but you'd maybe learn...
I think it's more focused on process, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, cleaning is not rocket science either, so it's if you have a scientific background, it's relatively easy to get into. But still, there's a lot you can only learn by doing. I feel so. Get experience. There's also some great trainings going from a couple of hours to a week from different providers for trainings.
Is there any that come to mind?
Or like ISPE, for example, we hear there's ECA Academy. There's quite a few online trainings sometimes, on-site trainings, stuff like that. So find as much information as you can and try to get hands-on experience. Also on the floor. I find it important, because I started out on the floor of a manufacturing site, and you notice a difference. There's guys that come in with a big degree, and they go straight to more let's say managerial roles, and they don't have hands-on experience. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you learn also by... There's a lot, especially when you have an issue and you need to do some problem solving, if you have the experience of being on the shop floor, and you have a better feeling for it, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think especially as you move up the career ladder, I suppose, having that hands-on experience can help. You understand what's going on, and you can have that bond and can advise and things from it. So it definitely does help. I do think one of the hardest parts for people, though, is trying to gain experience. That's the hardest part, I think, of getting into the industry from it. I suppose, is there any skill sets you developed, or even mindsets around over the past 15 years in terms of what you've done to help excel yourself?
It's really problem solving. Like I said, it's I'd say that's a big one, because the thing also with,
I suppose if on problem solving, because we've already identified there's not a clear yes or no, right, wrong in terms of something to follow. So in terms of there could be issues that pop up that you do need to have that problem solving.
And also you might never find a problem, which is also something quite typical for cleaning, because you can, let's say you have a contamination issue, of course you do your investigation, you look for your root cause, and you might put in place corrective actions and you might solve your problem, but it happens quite regularly that you will never be you will have an idea of what the issue was, but sometimes, or quite often, you don't know. And that's also something typical for cleanings. And even in routine sampling, you will always here and there get a non-conform result. It just happens, and you don't always have an explanation for it.
Do you think your creative sort of early stages of life and what you are passionate about maybe helps for that? I know creative people are normally quite good at terms of problem solving and thinking.
Perhaps. There are two worlds, very different. One is creative, then this is typically scientific, which is the other way. But you do need to think outside of the box sometimes, and get creative to find solutions and to find answers to questions.
No, nice. And how we end the podcast in terms of our last question is typically, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself at the start of your career, knowing now what you know?
That everything will be all right. No, but like I said in the beginning, considering it was, like I said, I just rolled into it. I had no idea. I ended up in a biopharma company in Brussels. You're like in your early 20s. You don't know nothing about life, about professional life, and but look, here I am now, nearly 20 years later, and it's pretty good. So
just enjoy it.
And take opportunities when you get them. That also, because I was lucky quite a few times that I got the opportunity to jump on a project, to learn things, and I took those chances, and that's made me where I am now. So that's,
I think it's a big thing. I think in general in life, not
of course,
is that having opportunities, experiencing new things, and it does help shape your overall experience.
It's a combination of being lucky, being in the right place at the right time, and also working hard and taking those chances and working for them.
No, brilliant. No, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
It's been a great conversation. I'll no doubt see you around the conference over the next few days.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me.
No, all the best. Thank you very much.